Shirotra, and I'm appreciative of Mr. Janika to have invited me for this show today, this evening. And we look forward to organizing the Edu Summit in India. And henceforth, we also invite you for that event. And we look forward to the journey of quality in education with preface towards learning as a priority. Well, friends, we have had our preferences on various topics, and today we are going to be dealing about futuristic Thursday for happy parenting and holistic habits. So this talks about much of its preface on ground of the South Asian Educational Summit 2022, which aims at discussing various improvement habits and the Kaizen in schools and at workplace. The priority towards organizing these events look forward to giving a preface to what the international practices come up to deliver the priorities of teaching and learning in the classroom. And today's segment of futuristic Thursday, once again, I'm excited to be a party today, and we look forward to having the parenting holistic habits in view. Thank you very much, and all the very best to our esteemed speaker today. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Dheeraj. Thank you, Dr. Janika, for inviting me for this wonderful Thursday, the Happy Parenting and Holistic Habits Thursday. And I'm really privileged to associate through this forum with the South Asian International Association for Early Childhood and Development. I am Mrs. Rohina Ajay Phillips, and I think I would want to give my introduction as a parent. I have two wonderful, amazing kids, and my daughter is 26, my son is 21, and I'm really grateful for these years and experience of parenting. Professionally, I am a consulting psychologist, a leadership coach, an NLP coach, a trainer, and also an entrepreneur, director of Dominion Phillips Consultancy, associated with many elite institutions in India, institutions of national repute, and of course come with an experience of 25 years plus. So yeah, that's just in a nutshell. I think I was really excited, honestly, to be a part of this summit. And the reason is not for anything else, is because of the cause of bringing awareness on parenting. This is something that's really dear to my heart. It's my heart's throb. And I always looked for means to find forums where we can really have a mission, or a cause rather, to educate parents. And being a parent myself, you know, for so many years, and understanding that what are some of the challenges that young couples can deal with, and the impact of working with children, because my experience or practice is a lot with adolescents. Maybe I have now reached out to more than 20,000 plus adolescents, and in my experience with them, I have understood that how parenting practices impact children, and it gave me a better realization while I was talking to adolescents, because I could see through their early childhood. I also work with parents in school, and I've done many parenting sessions in so many different schools. But my greatest insight comes from in my interaction with the adolescents. That is, when they are at a stage where they have awareness and they are struggling with simplest issues like their self-concept, their self-esteem, their identity, issues of self-doubt, which they don't know where it comes from. And when I get into their history, understand their childhood, their environment, home environment, I understand where it comes from. And I realized that when I spoke to a lot of parents, they were totally unaware of how some of the things they did as young parents. I would want to use that word as young parents, because tell me something, remember when you were married, how old probably would you be at that time? And no matter how old you are, it's your first child in your hand, and you do not realize what responsibility lies ahead of you and what is it that's going to be in and around your world. It's still the time you hold that newborn in your hands. You feel the weight of the responsibility. You might have remembered your parents telling you that you will only understand when you will become a parent. And that is so true. I have learned it all these years. Unless you are a parent, you wouldn't understand. But I wouldn't limit the typical definition of a parent here. I would also say that caregivers, teachers in schools. There could be many schools where you have the nuns, the fathers, maybe the monks who are dealing with education as an educator, and they really have not been a parent, but ultimately they are a caregiver. So for all of us, therefore, it is very, very important to understand the whole idea of parenting. So I think in these next 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I would basically be able to share my thoughts around that. I do have a small presentation to share. I'll quickly put that on, but of course to get deeper we will have to spend more time into this topic. And as I've moved around schools talking about parenting, sharing some case studies that has come across with me in my course of as a practitioner, as a psychologist here, parents have come down in tears and said that there's so much we have to learn. And if you actually realize that it is mentioned that parenting in so many researches, it has been found that parenting also is a learned skill. You either train yourself beforehand to face your responsibilities or being in the role of a parent, or you learn it in the journey. That's up to you. But in our in a lot of our Asian countries, I don't know of any particular model where we have this platform where parents get that support and that education to be a positive parent. I also call it to be intelligent parent, because when I say intelligence is developing, acquiring the acumen of being a parent. So those are skills that we have to learn. We talk about leadership skills, we talk about teaching as a skill, we talk about medicine as a skill, we talk about psychology, counseling as a skill. So what is the reason we can take parenting so granted? And that is the reason I was really excited to associate with you all, and be a part of this propaganda, education, awareness forum, where parents need to at some point realize that you can't wait and be reactive and work on your child when the damage is done unknowingly by you as a parent. And definitely parents want to do their best for their children. That is, there's no doubt about it. Anytime you hold your newborn baby, and you tell yourself, I heard a little child here, and tell yourself that I will be the best parent in the world. So definitely, I totally agree with the fact that this topic definitely requires a lot of awareness. And the more the people to train parents in this area, the better, because we know that every moment a child is born and a parent along with that is born. So how old were you again when you held your newborn in your hands? I want you to just kind of go back, recall that time, take this moment to go back and recall that time when you held your firstborn in your hand, and what was that emotion like? How did you feel? And what are some of the thoughts that came to your mind? I would like to hear from you in the chat box. It will really be nice to share something, uh, as you recall your experience of being a parent. Uh, what is it that you realize? I would want to hear it from you in the chat box. May I? I always love interaction with participants, so I get to know them a little bit, or, as of not only the participants, but whoever is present, and we all together as a group. So anyways, I look at my chat box if I have anything yet. Nothing yet, so let me just go with the assumption that it must have been wonderful. It must have been the most beautiful experience that you had when you held your newborn in your hand. And I'm sure you would have said that I would want to be the best parent in the world. So here we are discussing about happy parenting and holistic parenting. To arrive at this stage, I know that we can talk directly on a lot of positive habits, but it's very important to arrive at being a happy parent with holistic habits is to also understand a little bit of science of behavior, and what are some of the yes, Madhushi, thank you so much for your comment. It was an amazing day, and I agree with you. It would be the same for the parents and the family. And it's really, really beautiful touching those tiny fingers, those tiny hands, those tiny feet. And it's so beautiful that you commit your entire life to parenting. You work for your child, you get better as a person for your child. We toil day and night for our children, and everything about the future and our focus and our goals all revolve around our children. So now you imagine that, isn't it worth investing in understanding and learning what is parenting all about? So how have we been learning so far? It has definitely been random. I would not hesitate to use this word, and it was not very strategic when it came to if I ask you, maybe any of you, what exactly is your parenting style? What are some of your positive parenting practices? What are some of the scientific tools that you are using to deal with behavior, conduct, emotions, development of the child? I'm very confident that most of you would give me very random answers. It wouldn't be sounding like an educative parent. It would be sounding like an experienced parent. And how subjective can experience be? My experience could be very different to your experience. I've heard of some parents saying, oh my goodness, I had a terrible time dealing with my children because they didn't allow me to sleep at night. My son would throw tantrums, he would run around everywhere, and it was so tough. And if I have to give you my experience and I say, I am not sure if everything is okay with me, because somehow my kids are really good. They allowed me to sleep, and or maybe I'm doing something differently, or maybe as a child they are different. So experiences can be very subjective. So we all can talk about being the best parent through our experiences, but is that really strategic? Is that really scientific? Do you really understand what are some of the designs in handling the child development, child care, that you have, whether you have an understanding of that or not, is something as a thought I'm posing to you. And that's exactly why I'm really excited to be a part of this education on parenting in India, in South Asia, in Sri Lanka. Very, very excited to be a part of this project. So moving forward, I would again pose questions, to all the people who would think about parenting. How important are your children to you? Right? Everybody would say precious, very, very important. Nothing means to me more in this world than my child. I know that as adults, we all have differences sometimes. And to be very modest about it, we do think and speak sometimes and say, oh, if our kids were not there, we would have not been together. We are together only because of the children. So to that extent, right, the father works, a mother works the whole day, 14 hours, 18 hours, sometime get through sleepless nights. Some of the mothers quit their careers to take care of their child. That is the amount of value we place on our children as parents. Nothing means more to us than our children. So that's, I'm sure the answer would be that. And therefore, that's how important it is to become an intelligent, positive, a parent with holistic parenting habits. That's how important it is, because your child is very precious to you, because your children mean everything in this world to you. And that is why it is important to invest in being or becoming an intelligent parent. When I say investment, definitely it's your life, it's your time, it's everything, but also that proportion to say that you are going to invest in educating yourself scientifically, strategically, understanding children, child development, behavior, conduct, and parenting practices in a scientific manner. So like I am trying to make a point here, we all may end up saying, I don't need parenting. I know, because nature has given me that, I would say, ability. That's what we say. But yes, nature has given you so many instinctive abilities of protection, right? Just how we are as born in nature, we as the early man, we had so many instincts. We know when we feel hungry. So you would know as a parent, when you feed your child, you know when to protect your child, right? You know when to put warm clothes for him when he needs when you will understand him when he cries. But these are all the instinctive parenting practices that you have acquired through nature. But are you really educated on understanding what human behavior is, how your words can probably impact the mind of the young child, and how that young child can grow up to be a great man or an angry man? It's all up to you. You are a very big contributor to that. So are you really aware of that, would be my question to this question or answer. When parents in nature has provided me the abilities. The other thing we may want to say is that our parents would pass on the knowledge, the legacy, the understanding of parenting practices. But tell me, how many of your parents faced some of the issues that we are facing now, for which we have no answers, like mobile addiction, social media problems, cyberbullying? When somebody who's not experienced in that, how would that person be able to pass on the legacy that is the saddest lacking, when we can go by the assumption that my parents taught me how to be a good parent, and I have learned. Definitely you have. I do not deny the fact I have learned so many things from my parent. But if I go back to my mom and I ask her, mom, my children are not letting go of the mobile, or maybe they are addicted to the mobile, she would say, I really don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand this, right? So that's where I'm coming from. And therefore, it's important to become and invest in being a positive, intelligent parent, very, very scientifically. And therefore, again, I emphasize on the fact that an intelligent parent definitely follows all practices of being a positive parent and also being a holistic parent. Because when we say holistic, it is physical, emotional, psychosocial, all of these needs have to be covered when you are into parenting. So it has been found through many, many researches that children's development of the cognitive and social skills needed for later success in school may be best supported by parenting styles. So when I say parenting style, do you know that there are many kinds of parenting styles, but particularly there are 3 parenting styles which we may want to learn during the later days, as we are a part of detailed parenting learning. But we all have our parenting styles, and when we realize our parenting style, it could lead to a lot of unknowing damages, or it could lead to a lot of unknowing, very, very positive contributions to the child's success, as it says, in school days. So do we know what our parenting style is? Am I even aware what that term means? So then again, that's why I say, are we really into the area or into the, I would say, domain of intelligent parenting? That means being aware of what my parenting practices are and what are some of the implications it would have on my child and his success and his future. So therefore, parenting again becomes very, very important. What is parenting? Why is it so important for a society? Why is it so important for a country? Why is it so important for the global scenario? Why is it so important for human existence? We all understand that, we are human existential reliability is on our generations, right? And who are obviously, they are our children, they are our legacy, because they are child one day, but they are a man, they are a woman on the other day. It's a very short span of time, maybe just 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they are a grown adult, and they become citizens and future citizens, and in the society, in the country, in the international scenario, and highly responsible for human existence. So therefore, parenting is a great, great responsibility. We may look at the thought, and I do the same, that he is my child, but of course he is also a huge contributor for a positive, happy human existence in the coming days. He will definitely be a huge contributor to the society in the future. So I want to also emphasize on this research that has found that a development of a child between 0 to 7 years is, sorry for the typo there, is most critical. in terms of their, so we are talking about really early childhood here, and the most taken for granted years. It's critical in terms of the physical development, but we are not very aware of his cognitive, emotional, and psychosocial development. Physically, why it's important? Because we see, so we know, we are aware of the physical development, that a child first will be lying on his back, then will start rolling around, then there'll be a time that he'll be crawling. Then we know, oh, we'll be worried, oh, he's not yet walking. Why is he not walking? Some are very concerned about why is he not speaking. So we understand speech defects, we understand the physical thing, the stage of the physical stage of growth, and we do get concerned as parents, but we are not be able to realize the invisible here, which is your cognitive, your emotional, and your psychosocial. So this is also something that develops during the 0 to 7 years. So the way I say it is, the 0 to 7 years is responsible for the entire life of the child. So whatever happens at the age of 0 to 7 years impacts the entire life. Even at the time of my therapy, there are so many things that go back. In fact, most things go back to this age of 0 to 7 years. For example, I find an adult of 50 years and he is maybe having an issue of self-doubt and confidence or decision making. At that age, he will say, you know what, when I was a child, and maybe they recall in therapy at around the same age that my parents maybe have been overprotective, and they would take all the decisions for me. And we don't realize that where are we, what is the impact that it's happening on that child, and that child, that 0 to 7 years dominates the life of that adult as the child grows up to be an adult. So cognitive is about his thinking. So we talk about what are the value system, what are the moral values, what is the, I would say, the philosophy that you're putting in the child, what is it that he thinks about the world around him. Just yesterday, I was speaking to a girl who was taught to say the world is very mean, so crying doesn't help. This is what her mother constantly told her. And she came with an issue to say, I have a lot of anger issues and I am unable to handle my anger. And my friends say that you've gone through maybe such a difficult time, but you don't cry. A lot of other people normally cry, and we feel okay, like, we went out, we expressed, but you don't cry. And I was telling, she said, I have a problem, I definitely have a psychological problem, what's my disorder? And we tracked it down. I of course, I wouldn't comment on what the disorder is and what exactly happened, but we came to a point where she said, oh, my mother says this, and my mother has always taught me crying never helps. So in a way it's good, but then what are some of the disadvantages? But that was totally invisible. As a child, she was taught, and she's now realizing that as an adolescent. And probably if she wouldn't see a professional, she would end up being in that same mindset. So cognition, thinking, physical is something that you understand. The emotional part, where how a child is able to respond to any given situation emotionally. Is he unusually angry? Is he irritated? Is he balanced? Does he understand gratitude? I have met some, I will be giving you a lot of examples because these are real examples. That's what exactly makes me passionate about this topic. So I was talking to one of the girls from a very affluent family, had all the luxury of life, and she was having a problem with a teacher in the ninth standard. And she came to me and said that the teacher is finding her to come out to be very arrogant, very disrespectful. And in all that, I understood that, I said, okay, and you talk disrespectfully to your parents? And she said, yeah, but have you ever apologized to them? I'm not sure what that means. And the approach was always unapologetic, and she was never taught the value of saying sorry or apologizing somehow. And that really was shocking to me. Of course, she was educated, and now she's doing very well. She's already enrolled for psychology and plans to do her master's in the same subject abroad. Psychosocial is how a person understands the society. Again, about this girl, because it's a very recent, as in just 2 days ago, we were having this conversation, and she was like, okay, yes, I have been told that people will judge you all the time. And I said, not really, I don't think so. People always maybe try to understand you, perceive you as any other person, but everybody is not there to judge you. And she was like, really? Yes, I said. And this was taught to her by her parent. So how does it impact her psychosocial behavior? So she is then known as a very mean girl, a very rude girl. She is one of the bullies. So she becomes a bully so that I will be mean to others before they are mean to me. I will judge others before somebody judges me. So she became a bully, and we all know what bullies do. So just I cited a few examples that very critical, and therefore my passion for early childhood is really high, because I know that at that stage, one thing is there, that parents are very young. How old would one in an average parent would be? 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32. This is the age when the parent himself is still growing up and understanding the adult world around them. And here they hold the big, precious responsibility of being a parent, and how much they know about it. And tell me how much time they have to learn even from their parents. Nowadays, in the corporate job and all the running around, nobody has the leisure of calling their parents and having lengthy conversations with their parents as well. Right? We may randomly look up things on YouTube. And yes, it's good to read, I would say, more than YouTube. It's a nice idea to pick up a book and read. But are we really reading? Is the question. Right? So very important years of our child's life, and so important for a parent to really educate themselves, even in the phase of becoming a parent. And I would say, I always say this in all parenting workshops of mine, that it's never too late to be a good parent. And it's never too late. We're always learning. So in the interest of time, I'll be moving a little more faster. It is very important to have positive parenting. And before I go, I will share what positive parenting is. Sometimes a very important part of positive parenting that I would want to highlight is, one is interaction and quality time spent with the child. Of course, communication is the key. How much we are communicating back and forth with our children, quality time. Or somebody was okay, a principal of a school one day told me that the child came complaining to the teacher that my mommy doesn't pay attention to me when I'm studying. She is sitting with a mobile. And I'm sure you all will laugh, because it's the other way around. We complain about our children. She complained about her mom, that mom is sitting there and she's on her mobile, and I'm sitting there, so I feel ignored. Right? But the principal, now these are real-time examples that I personally experienced. So the principal comes back and say, you must be at least thankful she's sitting next to you. So that's the level of education and awareness is required in the area of parenting. Another thing I always talk about is if you really want to be a positive parent, you want to give a child the best environment. What is the parent's responsibility? To nurture the child, not only physically, but giving them that environment, safe environment of, being psychologically healthy, being happy, being safe at home, being able to express himself, right? Very important part of that is having a good couple relationship. So when couples argue in front of children, that has a terrible impact on the child's psychology. So many of the cases that I have handled are trauma cases because the parents unknowingly are fighting with each other. And sometimes it's really not a very big argument. It's only about, oh, you did this to me, you didn't listen to me, I wanted to go, it was late. So, those kind of even heated arguments, the child at that age is unable to understand what it means. So when that can impact a child, then you can imagine what the serious arguments can do to the child. So one child told me, I am the reason that my mother and father are fighting, so I should not be living. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. When you hear all this, it's heartbreaking because the parents are doing everything for the child, and the child is trying, loves his parents so much that he says, I don't want my parents to fight because of me. So I am the problem here. So just another very big thing of a lot of people who rarely talk about this, but I do, because I've seen the kind of impact it has on a child's emotional, physical, in fact, and mental development. And a lot of children distorted, damaged, distressed because of this reason, is because couples don't realize if you want to give your child a positive environment, then and if you're living together as partners, please make sure that your relationship is healthy. And if not, make sure you are meeting an expert to resolve your issues, because if you are not having a healthy relationship, there is no way you can execute positive parenting. Because I'm not getting into more details, but it has a very, very negative impact on your very own child, who you love the most and for whom you are together. So the first thing in positive parenting, I would say, couples, notice your parenting practices. Some outcomes or some stages of a theory of Erickson I would want to really quickly share in terms of the psychosocial theory of Erickson, that what are some of the stages that are taking place when it comes to a child development. First is trust versus mistrust. Really in brief, I'll tell you in the interest of time, is that at the age of from 0 to to 1 year old, the child is fed by the parent, he is nurtured by the parent. When he is hungry, he cries, food is given to him. So this is the time, this is the age, 0 age, you would say 0 to 1. He is developing trust and mistrust. You can imagine the development that's taking place here. That means he knows he's either taken care of, or he knows that I'm not taken care of. So when I'm crying, I'm neglected, nobody is coming and feeding me milk, the development will be very different. And when there is trust, when he's getting timely food, he's getting timely attention, when he is crying, then the child will trust the world around him. Stage 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt. This is a stage where the child is, early on 18 plus months, where he has to go through toilet training, and he has to, he's slowly begin to do things on his own. That's where he thinks I'm independent, or else he might think, oh, I can't even, do my toilet, and I feel dependent. So I was just talking to some adult the other day, realizing that she has an 8-year-old daughter, and she has not given her toilet training yet, even though she is a normal child. So the reason she has not given her toilet training, because she is saying that I am being a good parent by still cleaning my child. uh, that's how much I love the child, but she is not realizing that the child is not meeting the criterias of development. There the child is under development and not toilet trained. So this stage is also very important. The third stage, so what I'm saying again, these are early days, and we need to know what exactly and how we can impact our child. Initiative and guilt, again here the child has started taking small responsibilities of choosing his toys, choosing his friends, choosing his shirt color. And then the parents say, no, this will look nice on you. I know, because I'm your parent. How does it matter if he wears red or blue or green, as long as he chooses it? But what will matter is whether he is able to take initiative or whether he is indecisive, and in future will face problems of indecision, right? Here, this is the stage where the child is again in his teenage and is trying to understand self-concept, self-esteem, realizing the society around him. So how does he understand himself will all depend on how his other stages are completed. If one stage is missed, then he will not be able to fulfill the other criteria. Stage 5 is again, he is understanding him more, whether he knows. So many students will come to me for understanding. I don't know why I am in this world. I don't know who I am. And this is identity crisis that they face. They have confusion, whether they even mean anything in this world. And therefore, a lot of suicidal tendency come in for this reason, because they say, even if I am not around, it will not make a difference to anybody. So if you see, suicide is the leading cause of death among young people, and between the age group of 16 to 24. And now you know that a lot of that will correlate to the parenting practices somehow. Stage 6 is intimacy and isolation. It's again, trying to find the life partner, the romantic relationship, and all will again depend on your stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, how you are as a person, and how much, again, whether you trust, you mistrust, whether you are taking the initiative to talk to the person you love, or you are running away, your guilt. All these things will impact here. When you look at generativity and stagnation, this is your stage of parenting, right? At this stage, you are into a romantic relationship, you become a parent, and you are functioning as a parent. But again, this will all depend how you are as a parent when you were as a child, your stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. So your development will impact your parenting practices as well. That's how important parenting is during the early childhood. And stage, it is again the age when you are older and 65. So there are so many things that you realize being old, and realize, I wish I would have been a better parent. I wish I would have treated my son better. We somewhere, all parents, no matter how best we try, we arrive at so many realizations. So we better gear ourselves now when we have time, rather than looking at that end stage. So I think with that, in the interest of time, I will really want to conclude with this statement, that it's the beautiful hand, the hand of the father and the mother holding the newborn child, the hand that rocks the cradle, rules the world. So one day, maybe our great men were children like this. Tough to imagine, all the great people are great leaders from your country, from our country, from so many, all the countries. They were once a child, right? um I love this song also, that Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day save the world? Like, this song, if some of you have heard it. So once great men were also babies. So with that thought, so you really holding great responsibility and contributing to who this child becomes as a man. With that thought, I would say it's never too late to be an intelligent parent, to be a good parent. So invest, accept, that there's a lot to learn, and do it now before it's too late. Because once the child is small, he can't talk, but you will start hearing him talk when he grows up to be 12, 13, 14, 15. And so many times we don't have the opportunity to turn the clock around. So yeah, it's never too late if it's today. And therefore, I really appreciate this initiative. And I'm thankful to Dr. Janaka for having me on board to share. It was a real pleasure to share, my thoughts on parenting practices and positive parenting practices with you all. Thank you very much, sir.
Actually, I would like to thank you very much, ma'am, because actually we haven't any idea that much. I mean, that much about this parental coaching. Very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I was joined this session today, and it was very important for me, as I am a parent. I have a 6 years old girl. Then I want to thanks to Mrs. Rowena to sharing with your knowledge with us. Thank you.